Saint Bonaventure. He was born around the year 1217 or 1221 in the quiet town of Bagnoregio, nestled in the heart of central Italy. His birth name was Giovanni di Fidanza. As a young child, he nearly died from a serious illness. In desperation, his mother turned to Saint Francis of Assisi for intercession, and the boy's healing was nothing short of miraculous. Bonaventure would later see this moment as the beginning of a life totally given to God. He joined the order of friars minor, the Franciscans, and was sent to study at the University of Paris, then the most prestigious theological center in Europe. There he studied under the great theologian Alexander of Hales, one of the early masters of Franciscan spirituality and scholastic method. It was also in Paris that he met and formed a spiritual friendship with St. Thomas Aquinas. A well-loved pious tradition says that when Thomas asked Bonaventure what books he studied to gain such wisdom, Bonaventure simply pointed to the crucifix and said, "I study Jesus Christ crucified. It is in his wounds that I find all my knowledge." While this exchange cannot be historically verified, the spirit of it reflects Bonaventure's deep conviction. All true wisdom begins at the foot of the cross. In 1257, Bonaventure was elected Minister General of the Franciscans. At the time, the order was experiencing internal tensions between those who wished to preserve strict observance of poverty and those who sought more flexibility. With clarity, compassion, and authority, Bonaventure reunited the brothers and gave the order a new constitutional foundation that preserved its original charism while providing stability. He preached widely and wrote extensively. His most famous work, The Journey of the Mind into God, Itinerarium Mentis in Deum, is considered a masterpiece of mystical theology. In it, Bonaventure describes the soul's ascent to God through three stages: purification, illumination, and union, concepts drawn from earlier church fathers, but woven into a deeply Franciscan framework. For Bonaventure, encountering God wasn't a matter of intellectual brilliance. It was the fruit of longing, humility, and surrender to the Holy Spirit. He once wrote, "Christ is the way and the gate, the ladder and the chariot, the propitiatory upon the ark of the covenant, and the mystery hidden from the beginning. Whoever turns his face fully to him and looks upon the crucified with faith, hope, and love, with devotion, admiration, joy, appreciation, praise, and thanksgiving, will pass over with Christ from slavery into freedom, from darkness into light, from death into life." Despite his reputation as a theologian and leader, Bonaventure remained profoundly humble. A devotional story passed down through generations tells of how Bonaventure and Thomas Aquinas were each asked by the Pope to compose a liturgy for the Feast of Corpus Christi. After hearing Thomas's composition, Bonaventure, moved by its beauty, quietly tore up his own. Again, though this story lacks historical evidence, it reflects the humility Bonaventure embodied throughout his life. When Pope Clement IV tried to appoint him Archbishop of York in 1265, Bonaventure declined out of humility. But years later, in 1273, he could no longer refuse when Pope Gregory X named him a cardinal and summoned him to assist in the Second Council of Lyon. One anecdote says that when papal envoys arrived to deliver the red hat of the cardinalate, they found Bonaventure washing dishes in the monastery. He asked them to kindly wait until he finished his chores before coming to receive the honor. A moment still cherished by those who recognize greatness not in pomp, but in service. He died on July 15, 1274, shortly after the council, leaving behind a legacy of unity, insight, and devotion. In 1482, he was canonized by Pope Sixtus IV, and in 1588 declared a Doctor of the Church by Pope Sixtus V. Saint Bonaventure did not become holy by chasing prestige or brilliance. He became holy by keeping his eyes on Christ crucified, by seeking wisdom not in the heights of academia, but in the humility of service. His life is a quiet testimony that sanctity is not only possible, but within reach if we dare to love, to listen, and to let ourselves be formed by the wounds of Jesus. And if this story stirred something in you, don't let it fade. Let it challenge you. Let it draw you closer to the cross. And if this kind of truth resonates in your heart, I invite you to subscribe, not just to this channel, but to the journey of becoming more like Christ day by day. Because as Bonaventure shows us, holiness is not a moment, it's a path, and you're not walking it alone.